said I'd never join.
Thought living on sub would be too hard.
I figured only the weatherman track storms.
I said my job wouldn't matter.
Never knew how strong I was. I never thought this would be my commute.
I figured I'd never get out of my hometown.
Or be the one who stops an attack.
Joining the Navy sounds crazy. Saying never actually is.
Oh, hi everyone, and welcome into Behind the Helm. If you want to watch this show live, tune in every Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. Make sure to leave a comment down below, and we'll respond live. As always, find it, like it, share it, follow it. But if you want to watch the show after the fact, head on over to YouTube or on Facebook, where the shows are cataloged, and you can see all the comments and notes and still watch the show and any bonus content. If you just want to listen to the show, head on over to Spotify, Apple Podcast, Audible, wherever you can find a podcast, and just search up Behind the Helm. Enjoy the show. Episode 81. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, we broke 80. We're at 81. You are on Indiana's #1 military podcast. It may be self-proclaimed. Somebody put us in for it. That's okay. I'll accept it. Let's go. If this is your 81st time here, man, killing it. I know Fields will probably try to be on. I already saw my mom's out there. I know we have a bunch of people who are watching when they can. Chief Snyder from a few episodes ago normally watches when he can, but it's super late over there. So I appreciate all of you who have been here, whether it's 81 episodes, 60 episodes, 5 episodes, all those returning. Thank you so much. But you're not off the hook. Make sure you smash that like button, hit those bells, get the notifications, do all those algorithmic things that help get this information out. Because I will tell you that today we have an amazing information-packed show that's going to, maybe help people that are thinking about joining the military. And I will tell you, if you're active or if you're a reservist or if you're a veteran, this is going to be a good show for you. There might be some information that you didn't know about. So if this is your first time here, hey, thanks for joining in. Took you 81 tries to get it, but you made it, and I appreciate it. I know what you're thinking. What are you doing in a tracksuit? Well, today I was out at Frankton High School. We did a health fair, so we were out there shooting basketball and doing some planks and push-ups and rolling my dice that my future sailors hate, but some kids were having some fun with it. So shout out to the Army recruiters and National Guard recruiter that was out there with me. We had a good time, and anybody who's on here that was from out there at Frankton, make sure you comment down below. As always, you can watch us live right now. It's the best way to interact. You can try to derail me. I do that pretty well on my own. And you can, of course, always watch it after the fact. And I will tell you, my time rolled over for the audio for Spotify, stuff like that. And I'm going to be catching that up really soon. It's looking like I might be able to be completely caught up by the end of this month. We'll see. So keep an eye out there if you're following us on Spotify or Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, Audible, any of those. You should be getting notifications, and they might have been annoying over the last week or so as I've uploaded a bunch, but I'm playing catch up. So still subscribe over there too. Do whatever it takes, but definitely make sure you share these feeds. You never know who you might help. So what are we doing today? Well, we're going to be sitting down with a fellow Navy Chief that, quite honestly, I met on Facebook. That's just how it happens. It's such a worldwide fraternity, just a brotherhood that we have. And, he had reached out to me and said, hey, get me on there. I've got some great information I'd love to put out. And I'm like, let's do it, man. Let's absolutely do it. So we'll be introducing him here in a minute. But before we do that, I have a little homage to the Eagle. And we've gotten some new promotional items, and I feel like the Eagle flies high. So it wants to fly high with something else. And so I have this blimp. Wait. Is that a Navy blimp? Oh, you can't read it. This is ingenuity at its finest, because if you're looking at that right now, that is a blimp. 100% that's a foam blimp. The Navy said, hey, what if we just print Navy on it and flip it upside down and it's a submarine? But I'm sorry, that is a blimp. But it does have the things on the side. So it's pretty cool, a little stress reliever. I have one sitting on my desk, blimp. So you know what? Eagle's going to fly high, but it's got its own sub that it can go below the waves with, which, by the way, I plan to get a Submariner on here sometime soon too, so we can talk about that. But there's our homage to the Eagle. So here in just a moment, I'm going to introduce my special guest. But again, I just want to thank everybody. And just a plug for, might be next week, might be the week after, but I have some huge news, and I don't want you guys to miss it, and it's going to change some things with the show, and it's going to make some things really interesting, but you'll have to tune in next week to find out on that front and what that's going to look like. So with that being said, let me get the old Zooms pulled up here, and like before, so we don't get that double audio, I'm going to turn my speakers off, put some headphones on. Let me get a sip of water here. And I'm going to introduce our guest for today. Man, my head's already big, man. These things make my head look huge. All right, so I'm going to bring in our special guest. He is a QMC. It's Quartermaster Chief, retired. He also has a surface warfare. I don't want to forget that, but it's QMC retired. Matthew Beasley. Let me go ahead and pull him up here. I'm going to mess it up. I always do. I'm telling you, this is the best part about being live. Hello, Chief. Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
Dude, did you put your Star Trek badge on?
Yes. Yes, I did, because
awesome.
today is the premiere of season 3 of Star Trek Picard.
Is it really?
Yes.
I didn't know that. Big Star Trek guy?
Oh, yeah.
Star Wars is better, fanboy.
Ooh,
no, we're not going to get into that. I saw a funny video. I have to tell you about it later. Star Wars. It cracked me up. I've never been a big Star Trek fan. I do remember when we didn't have cable, I used to watch I think it was the Enterprise. What was the one where the female was the captain? Is that Enterprise?
Oh, that was Voyager.
Voyager. I remember watching that when I was younger. I do remember watching that because it was on like WGN or whatever locally, but just never, really into it. No offense, it's fine. But yeah, it wasn't never really my jam. So you said it's Matthew Beasley, goes by Matt for most that know him. Retired Chief, QMC, right? So, we're going to kind of talk about what your rate is. I'm super glad you reached out to me to do the show. And what was your background? You told me what your background was too. You got the Star Trek on, you got the spacecraft in the background, but that's not Star Trek.
No, that's a Star Citizen. A lot of people try to say it's a scam. It's a game that's been in development for the last decade, really intensive. And I actually play sometimes with other fellow military members.
That's cool.
From different branches. In fact, one of them is a former Marine that I play with a lot of times. And
it's out now. It's something you can play.
Yeah, it's something you can play now, but you're still relegated to one system. But there's supposed to be 100 systems, hopefully in another few years. It's just slow rolling because of the development process.
Sure, yeah, it's hard anymore. Like all the stuff they do, man. You can if you want. You want to drop your gamer tag, you can say it if you want, and you can find them.
Yeah, I'm LuckDragon_1982 or LuckDragon_82.
Something like that. I can't remember. You can find it. You put either one of those two and you find them. If you want to check that game out, play with a retired Navy Chief, you absolutely can. So let's get to you and your naval career. So you're retired, so it means you did over 20, but let's go back to the beginning. Now, are you one that joined right out of high school, or did you wait later like me? Because I didn't join until I was 26.
I pretty much came right out of high school. I spent the summer doing normal summer things with family and friends, and then September 18th was when I was boots on the ground in up in Great Lakes. I still remember it very, very well on that first night, because as soon as we got off the bus, I was handed I was asked, "Hey, what is your social security number. And because I didn't know that by heart, I got the 5th degree from a chief or a senior chief right there on the gridiron. I can't remember exactly who it was. I remember the face.
That's wild, man. Like it is weird because that's what we use for everything. And, they're really trying to push going to just your DoD ID number, because that's how it's always been. And, it's weird to me because I didn't join till I was later, or a little older. So I know I had to use it a lot for jobs. I did have it memorized, but I mean, I think back, like as a senior in high school, did I have it memorized? No. And man, you know what? That's a good point. I'm gonna have to keep that in mind because I don't even tell my future sailors that. Like, hey, that'd be a good number to memorize. That's a good point. I never even thought about that. So, but when you joined at MEPS, where are you from originally?
I'm from the southwestern side of Virginia. If you know where Virginia Tech is at, in Virginia, that's essentially where I'm from.
Hey, speaking of college, real quick, I just want to put a shout out and I think everybody in the Chiefs mess, worldwide and in the Navy would like to, send our condolences to the families of those students who lost their lives at Michigan State. That is within our area of operation. Our captain at Intag Heartland got us all on a call yesterday to let us know about it and, the impact it may have on us and just the general safety of it. So, it's not something you want to see happen. It's on a college campus that you never thought it would happen, but, condolences from, even, my family to yours for anybody who sees this, is really sad to hear. But anyway, I did want to say something about that. You just made me think of it. So yeah, Virginia Tech from down there, that area, kind of over that way. You go into, you join. Now, did you seek out the Navy, or was there a recruiter like me that came into your school, or how'd that happen?
So surprisingly enough, I originally wanted to join the Army. So I originally wanted to do that because I wanted to be part of the tank division.
Nice.
And then I actually reached out to a Marine recruiter first, talked to them, and the Marine recruiter actually came to our house and talked to us. And then about a week or so later, there was an IT-1, and I cannot remember his name. I remember his face, but I cannot remember his name anymore. Was at our high school, and so I started talking to him, and then I went ahead and did my my ASVAB.
Yeah.
From there, didn't score really well as I probably could have. Right. I actually slept the night before. But I still was able to get in as a quartermaster, when I went to MEPS.
I was going to say that was my next thing, is that, so we've talked about MEPS a lot and like how the classification process works and how sometimes, you choose your job. I mean, they might show you a couple different ones. So you actually joined as a quartermaster. That's what you joined as. And what I want to do before we move forward is, the Navy has, over the last, I think it's really in the last 5 years, done really good about making kind of little 1 to 2 minute videos of each kind of rate. And, I tell people it's kind of commercially, but it really is showing what the job is, and it's showing people actively in that job. It's not actors. And we're going to show that video real quick so people can see that. I don't know if it's somebody or not, but on Twitch, Diggs BTW7 said, "Hey, sup, G?" And I don't know if it might be to me, but it's probably to you. So, hey, thanks for watching, Diggs. I appreciate it. And we're going to hop into this video real quick. And when we do that, you're going to see you for just a minute. Look, there you are with your Star Trek pin. I love it. I love it, man. Let me get this pulled up. All right, so this is Navy's specifically QM video. Here we go.
We're on the USS George H.W. Bush, which is a Nimitz-class carrier. Right now, we're in the pilot house. Pretty much the life of the ship, in all manners of navigating and getting to where we need to be.
Our SG2 Mayport Port Patrol, have you loud and clear.
Quartermasters are primarily a navigation-based rating. We are part of the watch team.
Request to away from warship 82 and proceed outside the base.
Our quartermaster of the watch. I keep them on track, keep them honest of where we are.
When we need to be somewhere, how to get there, how fast we need to go, and to make time.
All engines ahead, 1/3 for 5 knots, aye, sir.
On the ship, we work a lot with charts.
Hard copies and our digital chart. So we just maintain an accurate plot of where we are in the world. It'll tell us all the wrecks, shoal water, areas that we cannot be in. It'll look at this, say, well, sir, you got about another 5 miles, you can go that way. And then you might want to change your course.
I like the ocean, love looking at maps, drawing maps as a kid, observing weather.
I've been on this bridge for over 4 years now. In a way, I kind of think of it as home. This is where I'm happy to be.
Yeah, so Quartermaster QM. I would say like a couple of the things that they said. I'm pulling our guest right back up here. I would say a couple of things that they said. What comes to mind, and for anybody who's watched my show a while ago when I had my son on, he's been real into Minecraft, it's a cartographer, man. You're a cartographer. It's what you're doing, right? Like that's, So what I would like for you to do, like you've watched that video, you've seen it, and first and foremost, for anybody who wants to know, Chief, what's the Quartermaster's rating badge?
It is an old school looking helm.
Helm, yeah, behind the helm, bro. It's right here. Hold on, let's show it. Right here.
Yep, that's it. Mm-hmm. We are the rate that knows where we're going to go because we have to know, and we are the ones who the officers have to trust to understand where we're going, because if we don't know where we're going, the officers don't know how to steer the ship.
You know what's really funny? I'm glad my wife just put that. So I was talking, and this is the best part about being live. They would have heard you, but they couldn't hear me. So that's okay. I clicked the wrong one. It's fine. All I was saying is that your for anybody that missed that, that's awesome. The rating badge is an actual helm. It's the only one that's there. And then I asked, hey, could you kind of explain, if you had to explain to a civilian or somebody who doesn't work with QMs, what does a QM do? So in that video, it showed QM on a aircraft carrier, it showed a QM on like kind of, what is that? Why can't I think port ops? Port ops. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But we have QMs on every ship, so, we're just going over that, and yeah, thanks. I looked to change it, and I instantly noticed that I was on the wrong one. It happens, man. Wrong scene. So anyway, again, you're here, episode 81. We're with QMC retired Matt Beasley, and we're just catching up to what a QM is, and we're going to talk about his service a little bit and his transitions throughout, and some really great information, but wanted to get to know Matt a little bit first and go from there. So everybody should be able to hear me now. But anyway, so yeah, absolutely. I noticed a few things in the video too that I take notice of, because we've been on ships. Obviously, like I see the QM OC or QMOW book, like the QM of the watch book sitting there, and there is always a QM. When the ship's moving, there's a QM on duty. And I would say, too, the one thing that it surprised me that they didn't put out, QMs are also who mans the flags normally. the flag box and raising of the different flags. We literally have a flag for every letter of the alphabet and different combinations of whatever, means certain things, right? Like Oscar, the Oscar flag. If that's up, it's man overboard, and so you guys tend to maintain that as well as the charts. I mean, yeah, the charts are huge, but I mean, the flags and the balls and all those things, like that's a big part of the job too. Like, would you agree to that?
Yep. So the chart, it's kind of funny because when I first joined, you had signalmen manning all the signal flags, and the flashing lights,
Right.
on the semaphore. That shifted around 2003, 2004,
where
the
combine it.
Yep, they just combined us.
Yeah, and what he's talking about signalmen, like when you watch like older naval videos or like World War II movies, and you see guys like, with the flags out there and they're flashing them up and they're literally spelling to each other, and the signalmen too, and we still have them on the ship. Like they're big spotlights that have blinders on it with like literally just like this little lever, and you flick it and these blinders come open and they would signal to other ships using Morse code. So there was a lot of hey, charts and navigation, but signaling, it's a lot of communication. And when you have a quartermaster that's on the up in the pilot house, since there's always one on watch when we're underway, like you're working, hand in hand with the officers, with the ones actually, doing these things, and sometimes with the XO, the CO, and sometimes they're turning to you. You could just be a QMSN, little E3, little E4, stand in that watch after you're qualified, and you have these higher officers who are looking at you and saying, hey, are we going the right way? It's a big job. So anyway, go ahead. Like with the maps and stuff like that, is there anything that you feel like you think that video kind of nailed it? Or
so one thing I want to point out in the video is that I think that was the same QM1 Duffy that I served with on my first ship. I am not 100% certain. It depends on how old that video is, but I have actually served with a Duffy before, so I just want to point that out in the video.
Yeah, it's really possible, because like I think sometimes people watch those videos and think that it's like, it's staged. I mean, no, like it's mass communication specialists. Like they go and they interview people, and then they put that all together, and they're actually interviewing people in the job, like on their actual ship, doing their job. That's what the Navy's goal was when they put out those videos. I think they're great. So, So you join as a QM, you go to Great Lakes, you do your time there. QMA school is also in Great Lakes across the street. Was it still when you went to A school?
Yeah, it was. Yep. It was when I went to A school. So that was a 6-week, 6-week course.
Yep. QM. I put in a couple QMs. I got one that's out in Hawaii. She got them good orders.
Nice.
Yeah. But so you did A school, and then right after A school, you went to your first command.
Yep. First command was USS Kearney, DDG 64 out of Mayport.
Yeah, small boys. Let's go. DDG is what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah, that's my first love too. I will never speak bad of the Arleigh Burke class destroyers ever.
Yeah, absolutely. So you did that. How long were you there? Were you there? Is your guys' rotation 5 and 3 or?
I believe it's still 5 and 3. It was when I got out of active duty. So I was on the Kearney for 5 years. I did 2 deployments on her. First deployment was to the Arabian Gulf.
Where was the Kearney? San Diego?
Oh no, Mayport.
Oh,
Florida.
Mayport. You're all right. So your first ship, like Hawaii's great. Mayport's probably easily like the second place you want to go if you're going to be in the States, because Hawaii's tropical, but you're way out there and it's expensive. Florida, you're still continental U.S., and people like literally fight to get there because people go there to retire. They don't leave. So that's awesome, man. So you're there. You do 2 deployments. Arabian Gulf was the first one. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
All right. Second deployment was over the Christmas holiday. That was an 04 to 05 deployment.
As
that
I'm
one
graduating
was
high school.
Oh God, don't make me feel old. So we floated around there in in the Mediterranean doing that tour. What was cool about that was the ports that we got to. One of the ports we went to was Italy, where Naples, Italy. We pulled in there,
Yep.
and it was really cool because I got to go to the Vatican for Christmas.
Oh, wow.
And I was sitting less than 100 yards from Pope John Paul II, now Saint John Paul II. I'm sorry.
Man, we were in the Med during a Christmas holiday. On New Year's, we were in Croatia, which was awesome. I never would have went there if anybody wouldn't, but on Christmas, we were in Israel. We were in Haifa, Israel for Christmas. Like, I mean, that's, if you're a religious person, Vatican's super cool, but then like Israel, the only thing we weren't allowed to do was like we were able to go up to Jerusalem and stuff, but not on Christmas because it's so while we were there, they were like, hey, you can, but not on Christmas Day because of all the stuff going on, just the masses of people and, but it was cool to say that we were there for Christmas. It was really neat. So you do that, you do those 2 deployments on the Carney.
Yep.
And then where'd you go from there?
One quick thing about the second deployment.
Sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So second deployment, and this is just a categorization of what all I got to actually do real quick.
Mm-hmm.
So the second deployment, we get our, you get a lot, how you get your deployment coats or
the foul weather gear, the all weather coat type thing. Yeah.
Oh, not those. It's the actual deployment jackets that you can get where you can design it yourself, all that fun stuff. So
we never did that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, for us, we did it on our second deployment. They didn't do it on our first.
We designed
I don't remember. Oh, nice.
Yeah.
But we got our coats ordered and everything, and then right after that, we were told, hey, guess what? You've got 2 weeks to get all the charts ready to go into the Black Sea, and we went to Sevastopol, Ukraine. So unfortunately, I have a deployment coat that has a sleeve of
Ukraine.
It doesn't have Ukraine on it, but I've got all the flags and the names of the countries that I've been to on my first 2 deployments. So sometimes things like that also happen.
Yeah, like I've talked about going up in the Black Sea. We didn't go into Ukraine. We pulled into Romania, which was awesome. The thing is when we went on that deployment, same thing. Like we didn't plan to go to the Black Sea. It just happened. And we were one of the first ships in a while, in many years. It might have been since you were there that went up there. And we pulled in the fall. It was really pretty. And we had pulled into Bulgaria. And then we went out and then we had to come back. We came back in the winter. Now we're on a Med tour and it is not cold in the Med, right? For the most part. So we pulled back up into Romania in the winter though. And it was bad. Like we all went to the mall buying stuff, but our money was good there. We were supposed to pull into, I think like Georgia, but we ended up not doing that. But that's pretty cool that you got to go to Ukraine. But it's a bummer. It didn't get on the jacket, that's what matters. So,
I do plan on trying to buy myself a new jacket.
There you go. Design it yourself. So you do that. You do your 2 deployments. You're on the Carney. After your stint on the Carney, where'd you head to?
So the next place I headed to was NGA, the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency.
The what?
The National Geospatial Intelligence Agency.
Geospatial?
Mm-hmm.
Geospatial Intelligence Agency. Again, episode 81, we're here with retired QMC, Matt Beasley. See another shout out on Twitch from DevXYN. Give me a little wavy emoji, waving back. Hey. So, all right, one more time. Geospatial Intelligence Agency.
Yes.
Geospatial. Okay.
Yep. National Geospatial Intelligence Agency.
That's a mouthful, man.
Or NGA. Now, NGA used to be, or what NGA is, where I'm a quartermaster and I get all my charts. Well, all my charts and the corrections for those charts come from NGA.
Oh, okay.
So I got shore duty orders to actually work there, and to work the Maritime Safety Watch Desk. So, and what's really cool is the fact that a lot of people who are in the Navy that get that sometimes get out and are quartermasters or other similar rates can also get jobs there, and I'll talk about that a little bit later as well.
Yeah.
But I ultimately wound up working there, and that's where I'm at now.
I mean, that'd be super cool to like see that side of it. You know what I mean? Because like it's one thing, like a lot of people go back to like instructor duty, stuff like that, but like to see, you know, especially something like that, probably where you were needing charts or something and you're not getting them, like, man, they don't know what they're doing, and then like you have to go see what they deal with. And just a shout out to Dev. It's a student that was in a teacher's class from a few weeks ago out of Anderson High School. I remember, and I appreciate you. Thank you so much for being on. Make sure you smash the like button and share it, and whatever you do on Twitch, because I'm not a big Twitch person. I just know I'm live on there. So you got to do that, and we're going to talk a little bit, like you were saying, because there are civilian side jobs there, and we're going to definitely talk about that. That's going to be the meat and potatoes of the show today when we get to that. So you got to work that side of it. After that tour, where did you head to next?
So after that tour, I went to the USS Doyle. She was an FFG out of Mayport, Florida as well. So I went right back to Mayport again.
Man, look at you. Look at you.
Yeah, that whole Mayport Mafia thing.
That ain't no joke, man. That ain't no joke. It's real. I don't care what anybody says. But yeah, awesome. So you got to go back to Mayport. You're on FFG, right? Yep. We don't have any more of those anymore. It's just a little bit smaller than a destroyer.
Yep. They were they're really stout ships. You know,
you still see them? We sold them to different countries.
Oh yeah. The one that I was on, she was supposed to be sold, but when I was reading up on it a couple of years ago, I found out that in 2017 she went to the scrap yard, so she's razor blades now.
There you go. Might have shaved with one of them today. I don't know. Who knows?
And I was on her decommissioning crew as well, so she decommissioned in about mid 2011.
Nice. So after that, where did you head to after that?
So my last active duty station was at Assault Craft Unit 2 out of Little Creek, Virginia, which was kind of fun because my grandpa, for his one and only enlistment that he did, was stationed out of there on an oiler.
Assault Craft Unit. So you're saying like Spec War, right? That's like Swick and those guys, or what's kind of
no.
Kind of
not so much
that.
Not so much Swick. We were the ones who so if you've ever seen the like the old World War II and Vietnam era type videos of these flat decked little crafts that would come up onto the beach.
Oh yeah,
and they'd push down the front end,
kind of
and
the
people would come out.
deployment type ships, like they're deploying the
yeah. So that's what this was. It was a slow little craft that would come up onto the beach, drop the front end, and we'd onload or offload personnel. We'd offload or unload beach groups, you know, things like that, machinery, tanks.
And those have a really, really shallow draft, right? Because I mean, they're made to run up on a beach, so I don't want to say that they're not stable, but they move a lot different. From what I've heard, you're gonna find out real quick if you get seasick or not in one of those.
Believe it or not, on my first ship, I'd always be okay on the Carney up until some idiot would burn the coffee, and burning coffee would
smell would it just like it just get you.
The smell, I could be doing just fine in 15-foot seas, smell that burning coffee, and I'm done.
Wow, that's crazy. So that was your last active duty stint, right? And then you did something that we haven't really talked about. Again, we're setting episode 81 with retired QMC Matthew Beasley. Make sure you smash that like button, hit the bells, subscribe, right? Subscribe, and really appreciate it. Shout out to anybody out there who is part of my VFW or American Legion. I know I put it out, and I know some of you will be watching. Mary's probably out there watching. So another Navy vet. So for Valentine's Day, I brought her a Navy mug, a couple of my Navy vets. We all pick on each other. But anyway, you did so. We've talked to a few reservists. We've talked to people who've just gotten out. We've talked to some people who've retired too. But you did something. You transitioned from active duty to reserve. You can do that now. it's a little harder to transition from reservist to active. You can, or kind of a little easier because you don't have to finish a term per se. But is this the Navy website guy? That's from NC1 Scott, the Navy website guy. I don't know who the Navy website guy is. You don't run the Navy website, do you?
No.
I guess not, NC1. Just a retired QMC, but thanks for watching and throwing derailing me because I don't know what that was. I thought I was getting ready to find out something insane. Anyway, I really lost my train of thought. Okay, so you can go from reserve to active, but to go to active to reserve, you have to be at the end of a contract, right? You have to be like kind of your EAOS, and you're transitioning from being an active duty sailor to a reservist sailor. But what that does is also keep your active time, but it's a little different. So you transition in the reserves. Kind of talk about that. Like how does that work? Like what did that do?
So for myself, all right. So for myself, I had I transitioned sadly when they changed the higher tenure dates.
Mm-hmm.
So I was plateaued. I couldn't make E6.
Okay.
So I was still in E5. Got to my 14-year mark, and they were like, "Okay, your 14-year mark, got to go."
Yeah.
But I could still go into reserves, so that's what I did. I went to reserves. There are a lot of things I wish I understood better, and that I had actually probably had more foresight and done a little bit more aggressively in finding a job right after getting out.
You mean as far as like, hey, you're in the reserves. So the thing with the reserves is, right, like you're getting paid. There are opportunities to like get some full-time pay while you're in, but what you're making as a reservist is not substantially enough to survive on. Like people who are in the reserves are going to have another job. Now, whether that's DoD or government, which we're going to talk about here in just a few, or if it's just a civilian sector job in general, you're going to be doing both, right? So I think the big thing that we're going to dive into is those, because a lot of those jobs and the things that we're going to look at here in a little bit, it doesn't matter if you've retired from the Navy. It doesn't matter if you've only done one term. There are jobs that you are now eligible for, and I think I was telling you before we started, one of the things that absolutely drives me crazy is when I see somebody who gets out of the Navy, and I don't care what rank they are, E4, 6, 7, they're chief, and maybe they only did one term, and then they're just like a waiter or a waitress, and you're like, dude, what are you doing? Like, you've managed millions of dollars of equipment, and now you're a waiter? Oh, I don't have any skills. What? Like, come on. So if you're that person, I'm not cutting on you. However, stick around on this show. Make sure you smash the like button and share this feed if you know somebody like that, because some of the information that Chief Beasley has is going to hopefully change your life and blow your mind. So you transition into the reserves. Like you said, there's some things you wish you would have done more aggressively. And are you mainly talking about like the DoD job stuff, or are you talking about like just that transition?
So I was talking more on the transition, but
Okay,
as well as other jobs related to my rate, and even ones not exactly related to your rate, but jobs that you could probably walk into that are available to veterans and reservist personnel. Most jobs will even, like say, if you're in the reserves,
yep,
and you get into a job where you're going to need to go on a deployment or something like that, you actually have a lot of job security in that, because that job cannot just fire you because you're going to go on a deployment.
Yeah, you go on a military leave of absence. It's a federal law. And in fact, I will tell you, this is fun fact. When I joined the Navy, I was still working for Best Buy. And when I went to boot camp, I did not quit. I went on a military leave of absence, and they have military leave of absence for up to like 5 years, I think, total. And they'd call you each year. And I did that, even though I knew I was going active. I probably wasn't coming back per se, but when I was on military leave of absence, what did I still have? My discount. So, but as a reservist, you know, you're absolutely right. Duty weekends, or, you know, when you're doing your reserve weekends, when you're doing your drill, when you're doing if you do a deployment, you put in a leave of absence, they can't fire you. They have to hold your job. They hold your position, and you have this job security, this safety. Ooh, excuse me. Go ahead.
So when I got out, the one thing I didn't utilize as much as I probably should have was the USA jobs. Instead, I wouldn't call it a mistake. It'd be wrong of me to call it a mistake. It's probably best to call it a lessons learned.
Yeah,
an oversight. Lesson learned.
Lessons learned. Yeah.
I decided to move back down to Jacksonville, Florida again, thinking there were job opportunities and things like that. And that doesn't mean that there weren't.
Bro, you just Florida. You were Mayport Mafia. You're like, I'm just gonna move back down there, bro.
So my reserve unit was down there as well, over at NAS Jax. And it wasn't bad being down there. The problem was that I had left my rudder adrift. I wasn't manning the helm like I should have been at the time.
You weren't behind the helm? Huh?
No, I wasn't behind the helm. I was just letting the ship go in a circle for my life.
Yeah.
But I did utilize what the benefits that I have. Maybe most likely not to their fullest extent, but I did utilize them. Your post 9/11 GI Bill.
Yeah.
That was uniquely beneficial. I wish I had done a few things differently, of course. But
now, and here's the thing too. I want to interject on that. So you said, you know, post 9/11 GI Bill. Most people tend to think like you can use it while you're in. In fact, once you've graduated boot camp, you've already earned a part of that. But you know, for you got 14 years, and you go reserves. You only have to do 3 years active to earn 100% of that GI Bill. So, you know, you already had it. Even though you're still in the reserves, he didn't have to wait to retire or to get a DD 214 to utilize it. And I think that's a big misconception is, well, you gotta go in and then get out before you can ever use it. Not necessarily.
I would personally recommend not touching your GI Bill though, because while you're active duty, you have other means that your command or the Navy in general will pay for college tuitions to an extent.
Tuition assistance, which I've talked about extensively. That's what I've used. Haven't touched my GI Bill. We've talked about that. Definitely go back and watch the episode if you're curious about the college benefits specifically, because that's a loaded conversation, right? It really is. Go back and watch the episode that I did with Sergeant First Class Licklider, the Army recruiter, that we sat down and talked about and broke all that down, talking about tuition assistance as well as the GI Bill. And, you know, Chief is right. You want to save the GI Bill if you can. Now, you can. Every year they change the TA, and you can max it out. And if you do, then you can roll into a little bit of your GI Bill if you want, or wait till the next year. There's just so many options with that, right? So I want to show, while you're talking about that, since we're talking about kind of the college, I'm going to pull up my screen here. We're talking about college, and we're talking about the different things you can do. So we talked about U.S. maps. And you're talking about TA and the 9/11. The U.S. Navy also has the U.S. Naval Community College for cybersecurity and information assurance. And my CMC recently was talking to us about this. He's using it. Get a head start at WGU with the U.S. Naval Community College, earning an Associates of Science degree in cybersecurity and information assurance. Now, I won't talk on this too much because I have not read through it. So don't quote me on this. But I believe, you can get your A+ certification, your network. I mean, it says all that, but this does not eat up your TA or your GI Bill. It is a completely separate thing. To my knowledge, I could be wrong. If anybody's in the chat and knows a little bit more, I have not sat down and read it. I wanted to look through it. And I just haven't had the time, because I think it's something that, cybersecurity. I mean, that's huge. That's huge, massive, huge. And this is kind of more of a new thing. Chief, I don't think this was around when you were doing your stuff.
I don't recall, to be honest. I don't recall if this was or not.
And then you were mentioning, we've talked about U.S. maps before, and you're talking about TA, stuff like that. The other thing, and like you had told me, like, this one thing I don't know as much about is the Navy Cool program, which is credentialing opportunities online. It's very easy. The site is very good. And what it does is that you find and select credentials, you complete a funding request, and you get those credentials, all right? And then you report your results. Now, these credentials are, you're talking civilian credentials. Search for specific credentials to find out about related military occupations, eligibilities, criteria, and funding options. So it all kind of depends. And I almost guarantee you, I haven't been on this site in a hot minute. It says learn about cyber IT. I bet you anything that link right there will take you to Navy, the Naval Community College. So for those of us who are active, you can go to, the quick links, and you can get to it. Just search Navy Cool, COOL, and also Naval Community College. So those are things. Navy Cool's been around for a little bit. The community college is a newer thing, but I would encourage anybody who's on active duty or reservist for what you can do to take advantage of these, and definitely take advantage of U.S. maps. We have talked about that extensively as well. So anyway, coming back to you there, Chief, sorry about that. I just wanted to, put that out there, because I think you're right. Like you said, I wish I would have been a little bit more aggressive about it. Because unfortunately, it's something that, we get told about, but nobody's holding your hand. Nobody say, hey, it's time to go to school. Like, it comes down to, do you want it or not? And it can be extremely beneficial. It really can. So go ahead, sir.
And the good part about all that education is the fact that it is relatively free. There are a few instances where you might look into other educational platforms. One thing I will definitely say: keep to the accredited colleges and universities.
Yeah, for sure. That's what you should be going to. But yeah, because that's where you get stuck. And you're talking about, like, every now and then you're saying, sometimes you might have some little fees, this, that. We were talking with Petty Officer Deem. His wife had used the GI Bill, and I learned a lot from him, because I'll tell you, when you're in, there's a lot that you don't understand, that if you're a full-time student, how much, it's not just your tuition, like how much money you get, like you're still getting E5 BAH. You're getting fees for books and for supplies, and if you do it the right way, and then on top of that, like those books and all that stuff, if you save it the right way, that's a tax write-off. So there are, absolutely, there might be some instances where you might pay out of pocket at first, but if you do it the right way, shoot, you can make money. So anyway, go ahead there, Chief.
So with that one, do you want me to go on to the next thing, or?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Sure. Yeah.
So another program that I'm well aware of as well is the Onward to Opportunity, and it's something that I tell every sailor that I know who might be getting out or is already out. I will tell them about this program all the time, because one thing that's really unique is that your spouse can also utilize this at the same time that you're utilizing this. And it's got a lot of really good opportunities in it for really important certifications, not just IT, but like say if you're on the supply chain side of you're a PS or something like that in the Navy. There are certificates that relate even to that.
And you can see here that I have their site pulled up so that people can see it. There is, become an employer partner. So they're also, they also do placement. And I think the big thing to to talk about with this, like you said, is huge, is that your spouse can use it. We've heard it about like the GI Bill stuff. Yeah, you can transfer it to your kids, to your spouse, but there are benefits that aren't yours that your spouse, your family, your kids can take advantage of. And I mean, I'll be honest, this was one I hadn't heard of until Chief Beasley had told me about it. And, let's real quick, Chief, I'm going to pull up their FAQ. Let's look at like maybe the first couple questions, and then they have a video that's short, and we'll take a look at this video. But I think, oh man, okay, these might be, but okay, like right here, who is eligible for OTO, which is kind of their little moniker. Who's eligible? Active duty military, veterans, National Guard, and reservists, spouses, and one-time participants as well. So there are grants even for that. So, this is huge. Huge. Spouses of an active duty military service member, eligible veteran, and members of the National Guard or Reserve currently serving. Like, wow, they're reaching that out. And then you were talking about what it is. You guys can go on here and you can see exactly what it is. It's supported by grants. It's J.P. Morgan and Chase and Company, Schultz Family Foundation, Onward to Opportunity, formerly known as the Veterans Career Transition Program. So for any of our older vets that have heard of that, this is their kind of their rebranding of it. So they partner with a lot of different career opportunities, and I would encourage anybody, just like Chief Beasley is saying, look, why not? Why not look at it? If it's free, it's me. That's my motto. I mean, I'm just gonna put it out there. So let's take a look at this real short video here. This is about a U.S. Army veteran, and I believe it's the one at the bottom. She was a CWO2, I believe, and it's just kind of her experience. It's 2 minutes long, totally worth the watch. So let's take a look at this and a listen real quick, and we'll come right back to QMC.
Yes, I found out about Onward to Opportunity going into the Transition Assistance Program office. For me, the Onward to Opportunity program was different because it was an attempt for me, the piece that I did, which was a certification track. It wasn't just geared towards giving you a class. Ultimately, you had the ability to not only get the training that you needed, but then they would also ensure that you were 80 or 90% successful in being able to get the certification. So there was like practice exams that you would be able to take. In some of the programs, you could even be partnered with mentors or synchronized with different business elements. Also, we had people come into us, a panel who came in of different members with businesses that offered opportunities. They offered jobs. They brought in another day where they had a Pathfinder program come in, and they would take your name and try to match you and link you to a career. So not only did it give you training, but it also offered certifications in the end. And then from there, it also helped to align you to a career field. So for that's the piece that's missing. For a lot of the programs, you get the training and then you're off at your own disposal to figure out what you do with it. But it went a step further, and it said, I'm going to not only give you access to this training for free, but then I'm going to also ensure that you have the certification, because when you walk out the door, that's the equalizer, right? For the people who don't have the military experience, they have the training. They went to college, or instead of the military, they went to get that certification. That levels the playing field. So I think that is one of the key differences in this program of Onward to Opportunity versus the others.
Wow, that's awesome. Let me get rid of this so I can pull you back up there, Chief. And I know you couldn't hear that. I think you've seen it before, and hopefully you could at least see the captions on that. But one of the things that she had mentioned was something I had read too, is it's not just, hey, we're going to give you this training. Like, yeah, sure, it's free, but like they really want to make sure that you're 90% towards this certificate, and also try to help place you into that job. Like, it's not, hey, you're just getting it. We want to see you succeed in it. And again, that's for spouses too. Claire, if you're still watching, go get on that site. I didn't know it was a thing. I'm sorry. See, I don't know. I've been in almost 12 years. I'd never heard of it. And that's something that I'm sure that my wife would love to take advantage of. So that's great. And I appreciate you. Like, I didn't know. I didn't know until you showed it to me today. So continue on. I think you were still talking about that if you wanted to. I know I kind of took you over there. Sorry.
Oh, that's fine. So a lot of this stuff culminates into actually job security. One of the things that when I was on my first shore duty was getting that security clearance. Security clearance becomes a golden ticket. It really does. So as long as you can maintain that, and you transition out of the Navy or out of the military in general, looking for a job that will allow you to utilize that is a must. As long as that's the field that you feel like you're going to be comfortable in being in for a good long while.
Yeah. And the big thing with that is I think people don't realize, like how much that's paid. Now, are there jobs where they'll get you that security clearance? Yeah, but I don't think people understand the cost. You're talking, depending on what level you have, you're talking tens of thousands of dollars to get a new security clearance. Whereas if you already have it, to maintain it, to renew it, it's not as much. So for you, if that's the only thing you have compared to somebody else who walks in off the street, you're saving that company tens of thousands of dollars. You're getting your foot in the door. And absolutely, that's a great point, Chief. Thank you.
Yeah. So when I got out, I did not. One of the things that I didn't do was I didn't look hard enough for a job that utilized my specialty. As a quartermaster. Of course, when I got out, also we were still using paper charts. We had just begun transitioning some ships to electronic navigation. However, back in 2021, a brand new nav dorm, essentially that is the rule of law for all quartermasters.
Yeah.
The nav dorm changed, and now we as the Navy have 100% transitioned to electronic navigation. There are no more we're no longer utilizing paper charts.
Yeah, we still have them.
Yeah.
We still have them, but
oh yeah, we still have them, but we're now 100% electronic navigation. But I would hope that we're 100%. According to NavDorm, we're supposed to be.
Yeah, right. It's that transition of it, and you're talking about like using your specialty, and again, like I think both of us in our time have seen that. If somebody just gets out, now we can be honest, right? You use your TA and you use your GI Bill. You do not have to get a degree that's based in your job. No. Right. But with US MAP, stuff like that, the certificates tend to be towards your job. Onward to opportunity. I don't think it is limited to that. Nope. But, when it comes to like US MAPs, it is. Okay. So don't get me wrong. There are some people who may be in and be like, well, I'm a whatever, like maybe I'm a quartermaster. I don't want to work in navigation. I don't want to do that. Okay. Well, that's fine. That's fine. There are ways for you not to. However, you already have your foot in the. Let's be honest. There's some people that come in, they have their job, they ended up not liking that job, but it sounds like you had some passion to it, and like, man, I want to take advantage of this. Get out. I think you.
Are you still there?
I am here. Can you hear me?
Yep.
There we go. We're good. But I don't. I think back in the day they didn't show as much. Now you can go through these classes and not listen, but there's a lot of great information about that. But it wasn't around. It's very much okay. Well, good luck to you without noticing that. So. I absolutely hear you. Again, episode 81, we're sitting with QMC retired Matthew Beasley. We've gone over, kind of his career and talked about some stuff. Make sure you go back and watch it if you didn't get a chance to. But we're to the point where he was, a reservist and transitioning, because it's all about transitioning and not understanding not just a transition to the reserves, like that was one thing, but transition into having to work into the civilian sec, but how he could do that effectively with what he had. So make sure you share this feed. It's very, very great information. So you didn't go as hard as maybe you should have. So, you know, continue on with that. Like what did you do at first? Like what, you know?
So first I did odd jobs. I went ahead and
were you a Walmart greeter?
No.
Dang it.
Almost. No, I first got a job at Burger King on at NAS Jax. That lasted for all of about 4 months.
Time out. You're telling me that you had 14. See? Dang it. You didn't tell me this because I feel bad. You were that guy.
I was that guy.
You were that guy that you had 14 years of naval service and you said, I guess I'm going to flip burgers. Like, dang, man. Anyway, go ahead. That lasted all of how long?
That lasted, I think, about 4 months at max.
Longer than I would have lasted.
Yeah, I realized why am I doing this? So I started looking at other jobs. I started looking into college. So I started up trying to use my GI Bill because I wanted to do IT work.
Okay.
Man,
where was the Naval Community College when you needed it? Like, it's literally like cybersecurity and stuff. Anyway, go ahead.
So then I started working at I still worked like a retail job. I went to work at Staples for a few months, for almost a year. Then I stopped doing that and went full time going to college, while also doing Uber and Lyft to earn a little bit of extra money.
Little subsidy money, a little extra, yeah.
Yep. While I was doing that, my wife also started using the O2O, and I did a bit of the O2O as well.
Were you still in the reserves at this point?
Yeah, I was still in reserves.
Still reservist too. Yeah.
Yep. And then one day one of my cousins was like, "Hey, have you been going on to the USA Jobs website?" And frankly, I wasn't going on there like I should have been, and checking it as often as I should. So
USA Jobs, like I have that pulled up because this is huge, and I agree. And while you're talking about it, I want to be showing it because what's funny is like some people be like, oh, it's a hidden secret. No, it's out there. It really is, and it's amazing. So it is literally anybody could go. You can kind of go on and look at it. It's usajobs.gov. I would sign in because I almost guarantee I have a username because I've looked through this before, but I don't remember what it is. usajobs.gov. So, Chief, tell us about usajobs.gov.
So in here, you can search job titles of any kind. Like for me, when my cousin helped me to find a job, she looked exactly where I had worked for shore duty, which was NGA, and she found an opening for my rate, which was a maritime analyst, which basically I would be doing the back end work, the part of the work that translates into what I was using on board ships, for chart production and chart corrections.
So I'm pulling up right now. As you're saying that, I was going to pull up an area, but since you said that, I just put in an area, and we'll look at this in a second. But there, again, just like anything else, there's all kinds of filters, all kinds of filters. What is the hiring path? What is it? Is it specifically more for like this site is not just for retirees too. There's stuff in here for, again, your spouses, your family, military spouses. There are jobs that are posted in this specifically for military spouses. There are jobs posted in here specifically for National Guard and reserves. But you were talking about how searched where you had worked. National Geospatial Intelligence Agency, NGA. Yep. And when I search that in keywords, there it is, NGA. So I can pull up NGA. Now, right now, there are no jobs for NGA. Okay, you can change anything that you're doing.
Well, you've got it set for Indiana right now on your search. So
because I searched that.
Now there are other places out west that will have job openings. One of those being
Here we go.
like St. Louis will have openings as well, because St. Louis is where we have other places at. We also have remote stations as well,
and it gives you a lot of information on this. So this, you're right. I forgot that I typed in Indiana. So this is just searching. I'm just searching. I want to work for NGA, right? I don't care where. I want to see what they have available, and you can save your search everything. Future needs resume repository and where it's at, and like it gives you starting salary, like that job, no thanks. But like contract specialist, all right, starting salary $78,500 per year. This is a permanent position full time. It's in Springfield, Virginia. Oh, okay, what's that? Like, we can click it. It gives you the summary. Here's the job description. Learn more about the agency, duties. Here are your duties, and then it runs down the duties, and they have do they drug test? Do you need a security clearance? It also has is there travel required? And a lot of these will also say what you need to have, requirements, conditions for employment, special info, and sometimes this will have your military, like, hey, you need to have been this, so and the database on this is the carrier qualifications. The database on this is insanely huge. I mean, every state, every agency, they post on this. This site has been around for a very long time, and any government job like they post them here. Go ahead, Chief.
So one thing I really want to point out, and I want to make this very, very clear to a lot of people, even in my job, which was a maritime analyst, it was saying that I also needed a bachelor's degree. I have no degree. I don't even have an associate's degree. I don't even have any certificates that I maintain, because I did not achieve any of those while initially doing my 3 years before getting this job, between getting out of the Navy and working now at NGA. And you don't need that degree for a lot of jobs. It'll probably say it even as a requirement. But if you've got like basic things, if you've got OJT knowledge, if you've got that, for NGA, if you've got that clearance, you have a golden ticket, and they will help get you where you need to be once you're there.
Yeah. 100%. And I was just pulling up just Indiana, and this is with no filters, no nothing, just jobs in Indiana posted on this site. 1,944. Almost 2,000 jobs in the state of Indiana that's posted on here. And the very first one is starting at $62,000 a year. And there's you can really narrow this down, because it shows you how many and like what's accepted, and you can even say like, look, I think that I deserve to make over, I'm going to make, let's say, let's put it for Indiana, right? Let's say I want to get it right at 100. There you go. 100,000. That's what I'm worth. I want to start at 100,000. That's my go-to. Now, some of these I will tell you on the filters, it will you can change close date, all this stuff, salary. Some of it will say it'll still come up in that because of because you can make up to that, right? But let's top one in Indiana right now that's on here: physician, orthopedic surgeon. Okay, obviously, you're gonna have to have some qualifications, right? Yeah. You're starting out $350,000 a year. So a lot of the higher ones are gonna be physicians. They post this on there because of officers and stuff like that too. Like here's just a staff radiologist. That's starting $290,000. You might have been a hospital corpsman that has qualifications for that. These are things to look at. Psychiatrists, again, a lot of physicians are the higher paid ones, but continue on. I'm just kind of, I'm surfing this while you're talking about it. So, if you see anything, make sure you guys check this out. usajobs.gov. veterans, active duty. You know, if you're looking at getting out, reservists, you're eligible for a lot of the spouses. So episode 81, we're with QMC retired Matthew Beasley, and we're currently talking about the jobs that you're probably eligible for, and you should have worked harder to get it, and you still can. Go ahead, Chief.
Yep. So yeah, any of these jobs will take you as military. A lot of them will take you with military preference. So you actually have a military preference as either a veteran or a reservist. And all of these, you have the security of knowing that if you're in the reserves and you have to deploy somewhere, you're gonna have that job when you get back. One big suggestion, and this is just a personal preference of mine, is if you're going to go for one of these jobs, I don't recommend going in as a contractor for these jobs. In my experience, contractors are not, depending on who the company is that you're contracted with, that's going to then contract you to an agency, they are not always the best companies. Now, that's just my opinion. I'm not saying this to put down anybody who is in a contract company. But it is from my experience that if you can get a job directly with these agencies or with these companies, things like that, it is a much better route to go than if you're stuck in a contracted job. However, there are also ways of transitioning from that contracted job into the agency or company that they had a contract with. There are ways to make that transition that way as well. But that's just my opinion on all that part.
Now, with USA Jobs, you can go to dod.usajobs.gov, which is more Department of Defense. Pretty much, it's looking at, I believe, just the Department of Defense jobs. From what I understand of it, I have not really ever looked at this one. What do you know on it, Chief? You may not either.
I don't know too much about it, to be honest with you. When I was going and getting the links for it, I found this as well. So
it kind of looks. I actually think that might just be another link for it. I think it's really looking like the exact same thing, to be honest. I think it is, because I thought it kind of looked like an option of it. But I think that's the same too. DoD.usajobs.gov, or you can just put in usajobs.gov. I think it's the same thing. So, but that's okay. Again, if you're somebody who's in the reserves, or if you've gotten out, and you haven't just looked here, there just may be stuff that you don't even realize that you could apply for, and I think that's huge. One
thing I'll definitely suggest is, if you have IT experience, because right now, if you were looking on there, you saw that that aside from being a nurse or a doctor of any kind, the second most well-paid job in there are IT and specialists and things like that. And there's an environmental protection specialist. Wow, that's a lot. For a starting pay.
For a direct hire too, Office of the Secretary of Transportation for Environmental Protection Specialist. I'm sure there's probably some stuff you have to have there. Location is negotiable, but starting out at $137,000 a year. I mean,
now there are certificates you can get in that as well that are,
sure,
I believe they're free, and unfortunately, I don't have any links to that, and because looking at that, it reminded me there are certificates you can get in that. Yeah, I cannot recall the name of it right now, because I did have to take a couple classes in that when I was at my first reserve station.
Yeah.
And it partially related to that as well.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's huge. We just got a comment from Christine Landis saying a lot of great information. Thank you very much. Really appreciate that. But here's the thing, like this is why we're not doing bonus content today. This is probably one of our longer episodes we did. And here's the thing, we ain't even done yet. We still have a whole nother program we want to tell you about. This stuff, I'm serious. Like this is, I just hope that if people watch this, that they stick around or they go back. I promise I'm trying to get caught up so I can get it on the audio version, because this is great. This is huge. This is huge for spouses. It's huge for veterans. This is huge for people in the reserves. And when I say veteran, it doesn't matter. You did 14 years, 20 years. Doesn't matter if you did one term and you got out. There are things out there like this that you are eligible for, and whether you think you qualify for it or not, you do. There are things out there that you do. But look, unfortunately, there's nobody that's going to come hold your hand all the time. Like, you've got to do a little research, and that is exactly what QMC is talking about, is the fact that he didn't. And if he would have, like once he found out about these programs, it's like, man, if only, right? If only we would have known. So, thank you so very much for the comment. And for everybody who's out there that's watching, who's still with us, and those who watch later. Again, episode 81, retired QMC Matthew Beasley. Great information about transitions, transitioning into jobs, transitioning from active to reserves, and just understanding benefits that you have and your spouses. So you don't even have to be transitioning out. The onward to opportunity that spouses can use, they can use that while you're still active. Heck, you can use it while you're still active. And the USA Jobs, great advocate for spouses there, where they're literally there's a badge on certain jobs. It's like, hey, this is more targeted for military spouses. When you're PCSing and you got to move and you're doing things like, sometimes it can be hard for spouses to establish themselves, and having a central website to be able to look for that type of stuff. I mean, it's not just about us. It's about those we love too. We just forget to tell you sometime, or all the time. It's what we do. Anyway, go ahead, QMC.
Now I forgot where I was at.
Bad. I'm real good at that. Hey, did you notice? Like, I'll throw you off track again. I don't know if you noticed my little QM Lego guy. He's standing watch. Can you see him? He's real small. Yeah, nice. He's in the dress whites with his. Yeah, you made me think of it. That's definitely a QM right there. Anyway, so USA Jobs. I think there was one other thing that you had brought up that I'd like to talk about, and that's and I will tell you, I wish we still had the video from our very, very first episode. The audio was horrible. The video was horrible. But we did an interview with somebody who had used this program. They were using to their advantage. They were in Germany at the time. And that program would be, and I think this is another one that, be honest, I'd never heard of it. I'd been in the Navy almost 10 years, and that is the Skill Bridge program. And again, you can search that, DoD Skill Bridge. So go ahead and kind of talk about that a little bit, QMC. What do you know about Skill Bridge?
To be honest, I'm not very familiar with it.
Okay.
From what one of my other sisters had said.
So a little bit about it, right? And I couldn't remember if this was one. I know you sent me some. Sorry, I didn't mean to put you on the spot. QMC did some research for me today. He sent me some sites that we could look over. Some of them he's very well versed in. And again, retired chief, like, we still learn all the time about these things. So Skill Bridge is an amazing program. And this is going out to anybody who owns a business too, because you should try to become a Skill Bridge business. It's for military members looking for your next career step after your military service. Are you within 180 days of release from active duty? Discover opportunities to participate in training and development with industries and employers who are seeking the high quality skills that you bring to the table. So this is as you're transitioning. Okay. So what Skill Bridge is in your transition process, within 180 days, you can apply for Skill Bridge. Now, these are going to be jobs that you're going to go and be an apprentice at, and you're going to It's going to be based on your job. You have to route a chit. You have to get it approved through your command. Basically, you have to be doing everything that you're supposed to do. And then you're still getting paid through the Navy, through the military. But you are going and working with this company and learning, and some of them certify you and stuff. The gentleman that we had talked to, he was an electrician's mate. He used it, and he went and worked for a company and got certified like in solar power, and they hired him on right out of the Navy, making great money and traveling. And it's only companies and employers who are vetted through this process. So they have to go through the Department of Defense. So if you're a company that you want to help veterans, you want to help them transition, I would encourage you to look at SkillBridge, look at the industry partners and the employers. The Department of Defense invest tens of thousands of dollars in training for its service members. This formal training is supplemented by extensive on-the-job training and accumulative hands-on experience gained throughout the service member's career. Through SkillBridge program, you can tap into the experience or the expertise of former service members by sponsoring internships and internships and pre-apprenticeship opportunities through the SkillBridge program. So you have to be vetted for them for this, and it's going to give you a few things. And I just want to point this out. What's that last word right there? Spouses. In addition to the Department of Defense, other educational and employment services many SkillBridge providers / partners of program opportunities to military spouses. So your military spouse, and you're looking, it's not as many. SkillBridge is definitely more towards the service member, but there's opportunities. And this is something where I think the big thing with this is that you're doing an internship for a job that, hey, maybe it's for you, maybe it's not, but you're still active. Like, you're still getting paid. You're getting paid from your command to go do an internship for a job. So that's, in and of itself is awesome. So I couldn't remember if that was one of the ones I was supposed to talk about or you were. So, but yeah, again, there are some of those that you mentioned today that I'm not familiar with.
SkillBridge is one of those programs I wish I had known about or understood more about when getting out. One thing to also note, one of our brothers here was mentioning it when he suggested to me, was he said that it can be accessed for up to 6 months after separating, to give sailors a route for transitioning into post-military fields.
The SkillBridge?
Yes.
Yeah. So you could do it now where it's beneficial always. You can do it afterwards. You can still tap into it, but you're going into unpaid internships most of the time. So where it's super beneficial and what people try to get into is where they're doing it when they're 180 days out of getting out. And so they're like double dipping into it. But yes, that is a good point. You can utilize that afterwards as well. So it's great. And again, you're on episode 81, Behind the Helm, Indiana's #1 military podcast. We're with QMC retired Matthew Beasley. I want to give a shout out. We're talking about this, and I'm say it to you, there, brother. Recently at my American Legion meeting, we were talking about membership and how our membership's quite well where we're at, and things of this nature. And I would encourage anybody who's a veteran of any kind, whether it's retired or not. I've talked about it before. Make sure you're going to your local American Legion and going to your local VFW if you qualify and become members. Active, almost always active. They pay for your dues. It's yearly. It's like $40, or less than. I don't even remember, but it's worth it. And I know what a lot of people think. Our generation of military members, are just thinking of like the old crusty veterans that are, sitting there drinking their sorrows away. It's not just a bar. It's not. There is one, But it's not just that. It's a brotherhood. It's a sisterhood. It's being able to walk in and talk military to people that understand you, especially here, like in Indiana, where I don't really have that, and I can communicate with them and they understand things and they have routes and advocates to so many of a lot of what we're talking about, a lot of help with VA and jobs. And I never knew until I became a member how much money comes into the Legion, but it's not profit. That money is turned around and donated to the local community, and hundreds of thousands of dollars in scholarships. And it is all about giving to the veteran community, but also your local community. So I would encourage you as a veteran, and you don't even have to be a veteran. So for those spouses out there, it used to be called the Ladies Auxiliary, and there's an auxiliary at the VFW, but it's not just women. Hey, look, man, like there's some military husbands out there. Okay, you could become a member. Maybe your dad or your grandpa served and you didn't serve. There at the Legion, it's called the Sons. You can be a member of that, and you can be involved in these organizations. And I really, really encourage everybody to, because I was having a conversation with some people, and these organizations, as we're losing, unfortunately, the World War II and now starting like Vietnam vet era, like we're losing them, and we're not seeing our generation and the generation under us joining this, and these programs are going to be gone, and we're to lose them, and they do a lot for the local community. So I know that's kind of off topic, but it's another spot where you can talk to somebody. Maybe you're transitioning, getting out, and these are the type of places you go to find a retired QMC that's going to tell you, let me tell you what you should do and what I wish I would have done. That's where you find those people, because it can be hard to do it yourself. It can, and then you find out later, you're like, gosh, man, shoot, I wish I would have, so I just want to give a shout out to that, post 391 American Legion in Fortville. And I always forget my VFW's post number because it's longer. So plus my post coins right there, so I can look at it when I forget. But anyway, go ahead.
And that's also a great thing. The Legions. I still haven't locked down on a VFW up here. But
mine butt up next to each other, like their back doors are like this. So
oh wow,
yeah, I was just like, well, this is easy, yeah, but yeah.
So there's that. Yeah, I was with the VFW that was down in both Jacksonville, Florida, and even before I got out of active duty, I joined a VFW.
Yep, I'm still active. You absolutely can. It doesn't you don't have to be a veteran. I know it's Veteran of Foreign Wars. There's just for VFW, there's certain things you have to be a member. American Legion, you just have to have served and not been like dishonorably discharged. So I'm telling you, it's worth it. And there's other ones too. There's like AMVETS. There are a few other ones, but those are the two most recognizable ones that you see in every little town, everywhere. They're there, and they need you, and it'll give you the opportunity to give back.
And there's also the idea that there's also like one of the things you touched on was like your elevator, or my elevator look on
QM,
what it was, a QM. That kind of an idea can also be used at the local VFWs, because you'll never know if there's like a person who might own their own business, or might be part of the hiring crew for a business at the VFW or the Legion, and can help you transition into a new job if you're looking at getting out or retiring.
Yeah, that's more of like, maybe they are on USA Jobs, but now like you got even a little bit more of an in, because you're a Legionnaire with them or whatever, and they directly know who they're talking to. And because they've served, maybe they own a business or are higher up in a business, and most definitely would be able to help you in your transition. So that's some great information. And, Chief, QMC, Matthew, Mr. Beasley, I just want to thank you so much, man. You reached out to me, and I think kind of at first jokingly was like, man, you got a podcast? Let me get up on that. And I was like, heck yeah, let's do it, and I greatly appreciate it. And, it was so much information. A ton. This is a long episode. So for those who stuck it out, thank you. For those who came back and said, holy crap, they're still talking. I know. Okay, I know. But it was worth it. Make sure to go back and listen to it. Listen to it a few times. If you're working on transitioning, if you're a reservist, if you're a veteran, like if you're a military spouse, like this is some great information. And Matt, I just want to thank you for bringing it up. And, I learned some more today. I'll be going home and telling my wife, get on OTO. You know what I mean? So I really appreciate your time, man. And then to everybody else, next week could have some huge news. Might not be till the week after. I don't know. We'll see. I appreciate you. We'll be live next Thursday. Keep on the lookout. The audio versions are going to be coming up, uploaded a lot here very, very soon. So with that, thank you so very much. Thank you to our special guest, and we're going to cut out from the live. But, Matt, stick around in the green room, man. I'll talk to you for a minute before we cut out, if that's cool with you, okay?
Yep.
All right, so everybody, until next time, thank you so very much. Have a good one. Yeah, Spock would be proud of you, man. Spock would be proud. Go ahead and mute yourself, too, because it'll still. All right. Thanks, guys. Thanks, everyone.